welcome back to my YouTube channel. Thank you for joining me for another one of my videos today. So you have to excuse me, I've got a cold today, that's why I sound really ill, because I really am. So I'm gonna power through this as quickly as possible so I can go and rest up. So today I wanted to talk to you all about how to be accountable for our own behaviour, and I felt this was really important as it's something I've been talking about over on my podcast and my blog recently, and I just felt that doing a video as well would be super important for those people who want to know how to take accountability for their behaviour, and also for those people who maybe don't feel like they have anything to take accountability for, potentially, to actually see where blocks can come up, mirrors can come up, and how actually sometimes people's behaviour are actually showing us something that we need to heal within us. So as I mentioned over on my blog, this showed up really weirdly for me in my own life, in the sense of I was reading Gabrielle Bernstein's Universe Has Your Back, which I feel like I say in every video, but I was rereading it a couple of months ago, and for me I had this like powerful moment of reading the later chapters of her book. Now I've read this book so many times, it's not like this is like the first time I've read it, but reading it this time felt like I was reading it for the first time, if that makes sense. And I just had this big, almost like revelation as such, of finding peace with a lot of my past, a lot of what's happening in my life, and I was just able to see a lot of situations and people maybe I hadn't been able to see through the eyes of love, or see for the first time again, or actually understand their actions or behaviour. I could actually all of a sudden understand it. And I'd always had in the back of my head of like so many people saying to me, you know, all of our relationships in our life are mirrors, like anything that's happening in our lives is mirrors, and they're like mirroring back to us, you know, what we need to heal within ourselves or what we need to do. And obviously like 90% of the time I'm really good at that. I'm really like, yes, I see it, like it makes sense, yes, like I need to give myself more love, or whatever it is, like I'm really good at that. Whereas in a couple of situations from like the past and stuff, I was not able to do that, and I was like, I don't see where the mirror is there, because I'm not doing what that person's doing. Like I just didn't understand why someone would do or say those things, or what the mirror was like, of what was, do you know what, like what was my part in it. So I think, you know, I'd found forgiveness and I'd found peace for it, but I don't think I could ever fully see myself within this kind of situational person. And that's what Gabby's book really helped me with, was actually, okay, if I was this person, why would I do those things? If I was this person, why would I say or do those things? And it helped me, and I don't know why I hadn't done this before, it helped me so much to actually understand things a lot more. And from that I found a whole amount of peace and a whole part of neutrality, which is another video I'm going to do for you. And I was able to actually, yeah, find a lot of peace and happiness from that. And I guess that's another form of forgiveness as well, isn't it? So how this leads into accountability at the end of the day. So from seeing myself within this person and seeing that actually this person's actions and words were a cry for love, which is, let's be honest, probably 90% of the time what people's actions and behaviour are, is a cry for love. I was able to then work through different stages of being able to see the situation for the first time again and be like, okay, now I understand and have compassion for why that would happen. How can I see the situation for the first time? And it allowed me to, yeah, I guess just have a new sense of awareness, like a new perspective and perception on the situation and on what had happened, and on the past as well, most importantly, like wiping that slate clean and almost being like, look, today is a new day, I have compassion, I can be neutral, and I want to see this situation or person for the first time, like for the first time. And that really helped me to find peace with a lot of stuff, even if, like, you know, we drifted apart or whatever. Like, just doing that was powerful enough for me. And how I then took accountability was like, okay, have I been perfect in this situation? Have I, like, did I like turn up in the best way that I could, essentially? And from my perspective for ages, like, and I had asked myself that question a lot, like that wasn't the first time I'd asked myself that question, and it was like, yeah, I definitely have, like, you know, I've always been forgiving, I've always, you know, like been, yeah, forgiving and understanding and trying to help the situation. But then I was like, okay, your reactions, have they been the most like calm, neutral and loving and compassionate? No. And for me that was like a big thing to kind of stand up and say it, because I think a lot of what I felt was like, well, I'm reacting to what's happened, but we are in control of how we feel, we are in control of how we react, how we communicate with people. And just because someone does something bad to you or says something bad or whatever the situation is, it could be a complete stranger, doesn't mean you have to react in a negative way to hurt someone. Or, and you know, all of these things are really subconscious as well. Like, you know, I know myself would never mean anything bad by anything I say or do, and I know that most people in their actions is exactly the same, but our egos step in and our egos go into that fight or flight mode, and they're like, like, okay, you've hurt me, so what's the best thing I can do? Defense, attack, or I'm gonna make you feel as shit as what I do. And then I realized that actually that's what that person was trying to do to me. They were trying to make me feel as shit as they feel, and then my reaction was to not necessarily consciously do that, but it as a result was basically. And I realized, I was like, this is like where this whole weird, like nothing's improving situation is coming from. Because if we're both just reacting and reacting and reacting, what is that solving? What is that actually doing? Like, you're just hurting one another, and that's not actually helping anything. Like, so I really was able to take accountability for that, and the way to take accountability is to fucking witness it, just like what I did. Like, witness your input. And sometimes witnessing your accountability here, or taking accountability for your actions, is actually more of a case of, yes, admitting when you fucked up, yes, calling out your own bullshit, because that is self-love too, but also as well, sometimes it can be subtle things. It doesn't have to be like you said or did something. Sometimes it can be like you're not standing up for yourself. Sometimes accountability can actually be when you're not doing anything, like you're not standing up for yourself, you're letting people walk all over you, or you're letting people treat you certain ways. Sometimes that's your accountability. But in this instance, for me, I thought that was what was happening. I was like, oh, I am the poor little victim, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, okay, ego, this pity party needs to stop, because all of us have control over how we are, how we respond, how we deal with things every single day. And taking accountability for my part was so important, because then I was able to be like, you know, that explains why there is an issue. And from that place, I was able to, be able to see this person from a fresh perspective, from a new set of eyes, and from being able to see myself in this. And you could do this with every single person in your life, like family, friends, everybody. And it's key to be able to do that. Like, even if you can't think, well, hang on, even if I was in their shoes, like, would I do that? Like, try and like get your head around like why a person would do something. And hurt people. Let's always remember that. Hurt people. And maybe your accountability is even just witnessing that actually you're hurting, and that's why subtly, and that, like, these things were subtle for me. This was not like an obvious thing, as I've like explained. Like, it went under the radar for a while because it was masked with reaction. And witnessing these things are so important to be able to, regardless of any external factor, like, find peace and neutrality within yourself. Like, find that peace, find that like forgiveness for yourself, for everything. Because once you find that, like, that's where the magic's at, that's where the good vibrations are at, that's where the miracles are at. So really, like, sit with yourself today. You could do journaling, do some meditation, whatever like feels good to you, and ask yourself, like, where can I take accountability in this situation? Where can I take accountability in my life where maybe I fucked up? And once you've witnessed that, heal that. Like, go into that place. And there are so many, like I've got so many videos of like how to heal different things and stuff on this channel and podcasts and stuff like that. You know, there may be like a whole array of things or practices that you can go and do to help that. But once you've witnessed it, like that is the part of healing. You've already invited the healing into your life by witnessing it and saying, okay, I want to heal this. Like what part of me wants to say or do these things? What part of me is reacting in this way? Why? What wound is this triggering? What wound is this bringing up, essentially? And apologize if you need to apologize. And for me, I knew I was probably never going to receive an apology from this person. Like, you know, I know anybody who would have looked as a bird's eye view would have been like, what the hell have you got to apologize for? And I'm like, you know, okay, your reactions aren't great, but... And I had to take myself out of that place and say, well, regardless of a scale of who's done worse or whatever, that's not what this is about. Taking accountability is like, okay, you may have like hit me down and punched me to the ground 20 times, but I have not got back up innocently. Sorry, my Tesco shop came in that, so had to take a mini break. So what I was saying is basically like, if someone is kicking you down like 20 times to the ground, like you don't get back up and you're like, right, I'm gonna kick you down. It's like, okay, you may kick me down 20 times, but I am responsible and accountable for my own behavior, and that's not how I'm gonna react. And when I change my reaction, oh, the universe will test you on that. Let's be honest, we know the universe is always gonna say, okay, now you have this new awareness. Let's see how you're gonna react. And in those moments, it's like reminding yourself of like, okay, I know why this person is doing these things. I know why like they would say or do those things. And let's be real, when there's been patterns and when there's been behaviors, obviously that's all they know, that's all you know. So, you know, there is going to be a period where there's either a realigning or whatever. And, you know, obviously I'm using this as an example of when both parties have obviously had, responsibility and like, you know, input. Whereas you may be, for instance, the person watching this and you're like, shit, the other person has done like nothing. Or vice versa, you may be watching this thinking like, I generally can't see what the mirror is here. So this is why I talk about mirrors, because mirrors were there, like mirrors were there. So for instance, the mirror was, this person was crying out for love, I was crying out for love. And we all do it. This is what we all do it. It's all that cry for love. It's that cry to be seen, to be heard, to be understood. And this is why it's important to see yourself within this person. Like see this, like see yourself in that person of like, what would I want to hear right now? What would I want to do right now? And that was like the biggest revelation of like, if I was this person and I was hurting, what would I want to hear right now? And that's what I did. And no matter what got thrown at me, I was like, love, 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 neutrality, love, 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 peace, love. And it calmed. And it calmed because I think this person was so shocked that I was like calm, neutral, whatever. Vibrationally, the universe has to meet you there. And that's what I always had to like keep reminding myself of. If I keep in this neutral, calm, loving space of truth, of honesty, of non-reaction, of, you know, obviously saying like, you know, standing up for yourself where is appropriate in the correct manner. But when I was able to do that and stay in this place, vibrationally, the universe has to match you there. Like it may take some time, like I said, to realign, to refigure, to recalibrate. But being accountable for your own behavior is like the biggest way to be a spiritual queen. And I'm so passionate about this because it's so easy for us to point the finger, and it's so easy for spiritual teachers and law of attraction teachers to sit here and say, point the finger and like, don't do the inner work, you know, just be love and light. And actually it's like, no, we need to do the inner work to be love and light. And none of us are perfect. We are all human. We are all fucking up. I fuck up, you fuck up, we all fuck up. And that is life. That is life. We are humans, like we are souls having a human experience, and we have chosen these lessons. We have chosen these, you know, situations and people to come into our lives to test us, to up level us, to show us where these wounds need to be healed. And there's nothing to be shameful about that. And this is why it was really important for me to be reading Brené's Daring Greatly at the same time, because she was talking about the shame spiral of how when sometimes we witness this accountability. So it was weird because the two books were mirroring each other in content. I was like, okay, I obviously need to read this. obviously Gabrielle was talking more of a spiritual sense of seeing this person with love, not being reacting, being peace, seeing yourself within this person, and being that neutral, loving energy. Whereas Brene was talking about that when we witness our faults, our wrongdoings, when we fucked up, for example, the shame spiral comes in of judgment, of shame to ourselves more than anything. And we shame ourselves. We're like, why would I do this? And I absolutely fell into this of, I was like, okay, all you've done is reacted. Like, let's be real. I haven't killed anybody. Nothing that bad's happened, but words are equally just as bad. And okay, I can apologize. I can take accountability without ever receiving an apology. And that's fine. I didn't expect anything. I was like, I don't expect anything, but as long as my side of the street is clean, as long as I am actively witnessing this and healing this, like, this is the most important thing, for myself over anything. For myself. It was all for myself. And it was to find that peace and to be able to be like, I know that I did my best and I know that I have done everything within my power to be the best version of myself in any situation with anybody. And for me, apologizing was weird, I guess, because it didn't really feel like I would needed to, but I was like, I absolutely do need to. And then from that space of apologizing, obviously the shame spiral comes in of like, your ego's like, you're such a terrible person for doing this, you're such a terrible person, like, why would you do this, like, you're not all love and light, like, blah blah blah. And I'm like, hold up, ego. I am love and light because I'm able to witness my shadow. We all have shadow, we all have egos, like, and we all fuck up. Like, no one's perfect. And witnessing that and sharing that with people is so powerful because it makes people think, actually, I'm not alone. Because yeah, I probably have done that in the past, or yeah, I've done that, or yeah, I probably haven't dealt with that in the best way possible. But do you know what? We live and learn, and we go through these things so we can up level and so we can learn. And then next time when these things happen with the same situation or a different situation, you're like, okay, I'm definitely not going to do that again because I witnessed that that's not my true self. That's not my true authentic self that I want to be, or my highest self, etc. So accountability is so important, and it's so easy for people to sit there and say, I'm self-loving because I bask in my glory and I bask in everything. And it's like, no, self-love is all of that, but self-love is also being accountable to your behavior and witnessing when you are fucking up. It's witnessing when you have not done something to your most truest authentic self, and writing that, doing like within your power, what can you do to right that wrong? What can you do? If that's apologizing, do it. If that is forgiving yourself or another person, do it. If it is changing your behavior, and absolutely changed behavior is the biggest apology. Like, yes, it takes courage, and yes, it takes strength to be vulnerable enough to apologize to someone, or, you know, to right that wrong. But changed behavior is the biggest apology, and that's the best thing you can do for yourself. Even if you feel like, you know, the other side or the other party is helpless and it's like, oh, should I really bring that up, or should I really do that? Like, still apologize. Keep your side of the street clean. Like, it's so important for your healing and for your peace anyway, even if that person's not going to take it or not understand it, whatever. But as long as you can say you've done your best, like, that's the best thing you can do. And as long as you're being accountable and apologizing and forgiving, and a lot of this probably will be forgiveness for yourself, forgiveness of your behavior, forgiveness for your actions, forgiveness of why you even need to take accountability. So absolutely give yourself that self-love and space to be able to heal, to be able to work on that wound, and to be able to forgive yourself, most importantly. But when we're accountable, and when we witness our wounds and witness our fuck ups and witness our shadow, like, that's the most powerful thing we could do. That is the divine feminine energy. That is, you know, being love and light, is saying, hey, I'm human, we do these things. Like, that's ego, that's, you know, that's when we feel attacked, that's when we are having that cry out for love. But I witness this within you, I see this mirror, and I heal this. Like, that's what we need to do. And all her, like, I will hold my hands up, I was like, I'm not sure, like, everybody's a mirror of us. Oh, they are. So when you are in that position, maybe like me, where you're like, I don't see what the mirror is, I don't get it, go deeper. Like, go deeper and say, okay, am I truthfully like being my best version of myself, my most authentic version of myself in this situation? If not, what am I doing? Like, what can I maybe be accountable for? Past, present, doesn't have to be like right now, it could be a past thing. And witness that, because witnessing this is how we stop these things. Witnessing is how we heal these things. And sometimes they can be subtle, sometimes it can be hidden, and that's why we don't see that mirror. But there are all mirrors, and a lot of the time it is that cry out for love, and you just got to give yourself that love. You've got to give yourself that love, give that person love. And it takes balls to be accountable. Oh my god, it takes balls. And it's vulnerability at the end of the day, isn't it? And vulnerability is the best place to be in. So being vulnerable, I know that's kind of a weird statement, being vulnerable is the best place to be in. For me, it generally has been, because I've been able to like have these like realizations and have these like moments of being able to heal things and feel better and feel lighter. So to me, that's positive. To me, that's like all good, because I'm like, great, you know, if I hadn't been reading these books, I wouldn't have had these like realizations, which have led to like really positive things in my life. So I hope this video has helped you guys on how to be accountable for your behavior. Obviously, I've done a podcast and blog post as well, if you want some kind of extra tools and tips, because I always like to mix things up. I don't always like saying the same content on all three, otherwise it gets boring. So if you want some more on the topic, head over and listen to that. So thank you so much guys for watching my video. I appreciate all your views and likes. Don't forget to subscribe if you're new here, because I would love to see you again soon. Don't forget to leave me a comment in the comments box down below, because I reply to them all, and I will see you in my next video, which will be next week. Lots of love, guys.